Welcome back to Mythos Amit Raj. I'm your host Amit, and this is episode 11 of our journey through ancient Philippines. In previous episode, we explored ancient Filipino warfare, the weapons, tactics, and warrior culture that resisted colonization for centuries. Today, we're diving into something visually striking and culturally profound: the tattooed warriors, the Pintados of the Visayas. Why did warriors cover themselves in tattoos from head to toe? What did these intricate markings mean? How did you earn the right to be tattooed? And what happened to this tradition under Spanish colonization? This is the story of the Pintados, warriors whose bodies told their life stories in permanent ink. Hey history lovers, quick favor before we start. If you enjoy today's video, please help me reach 5,000 likes and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing historical stories. Picture this: April 1521. Ferdinand Magellan's Spanish expedition arrives in the Visayas, islands in the central Philippines. The crew has sailed halfway around the world. They've seen many cultures, many peoples, but nothing prepares them for what they're about to encounter. The first Filipino warriors they meet leave them completely stunned, not because of weapons or hostility, but because of what they see on their bodies. These men are covered, head to toe, in intricate tattoos, complex geometric patterns, fierce animal designs, abstract symbols covering every inch of exposed skin, arms, legs, torso, back, even faces. The Spanish are so shocked by this sight that they immediately create a new name for these people: Pintados, the painted ones. Spanish chronicler Antonio Pigafetta writes detailed descriptions of these tattooed warriors, fascinated and somewhat horrified by the permanent markings. But here's what the Spanish didn't immediately understand. These weren't decorations. These weren't fashion statements or tribal identifiers. Every single tattoo had been earned through blood, courage, and survival in combat. These were warrior resumes written in ink on skin, a visual record of a man's entire combat history that everyone in the culture could read at a glance. When you faced a heavily tattooed opponent in battle, you knew immediately that you were fighting someone who had survived dozens of combat encounters. The tattoos were psychological warfare before weapons were even drawn. Today, we're exploring the fascinating culture of the Pintados, what the tattoos meant, how you earned them, and why this tradition was so central to Filipino warrior identity. Let's start with the most important thing. You couldn't just decide to get a tattoo. You had to earn the right through proven courage in battle. This is fundamentally different from modern tattoo culture. A young warrior in the Visayas started life with unmarked skin. You were essentially a blank canvas, unproven, without status in warrior society. Other young men might mock you for being unmarked. Women might not take you seriously as a potential partner. You had no warrior reputation because your body showed no warrior achievements. To earn your first tattoo, you had to demonstrate courage in actual combat. The specific requirement varied by community, but generally you needed to participate successfully in a raid or kill an enemy in battle. Some communities required you to take a head, literal head hunting that proved your warrior capability. Only after proving yourself could you approach a tattoo artist and request your first marking. The first tattoo was often placed on the chest or upper arm, prominent locations where everyone could see that you had begun your warrior career. This first marking was a major life milestone, transforming you from boy to warrior, from unmarked to recognized. Different achievements earned different tattoo styles and placements. A tattoo on the chest might represent different courage than one on the arms. Face tattoos were particularly prestigious and dangerous to earn. They marked the highest achievements and most fearsome warriors. Back tattoos often came later in a warrior's career, marking accumulated experience. The system created clear visual hierarchy. A young warrior with 1 or 2 tattoos was still proving himself. A mid-career warrior with arms and chest covered had significant experience. A veteran with full body coverage commanded immediate respect and fear. Your status was literally written on your skin, impossible to fake or hide. Creating these tattoos was not a simple or painless process. It was agonizing, and that was part of the point. The ink was made from soot, usually from burning specific plant resins or wood that produced particularly dark, rich soot. This soot would be collected carefully, then mixed with water or plant juices to create a dark pigment. Different recipes produced slightly different shades of black or blue-black. The exact formulas were often closely guarded secrets of tattoo artists, passed down through apprenticeship. The technique involved repeatedly puncturing the skin to deposit ink beneath the surface. The artist would dip the thorn or needle in ink, then rapidly tap it into the skin, creating thousands of tiny punctures. For larger areas or bold lines, the artist might use a tapping stick, hitting the back of the needle to drive it deeper. The sound of tattooing, tap, 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 would echo through the community. A single tattoo session could last several hours. Larger, more elaborate pieces required multiple sessions spread over days or weeks. Between sessions, the wounds had to heal before more work could be done. The entire process of creating extensive body coverage could take years. And it hurt intensely. There was no anesthetic, no pain relief. You were expected to endure the agony without flinching, without crying out, without showing weakness. Why? Because if you couldn't handle the pain of tattooing, how could you handle the pain of actual combat? Your ability to endure tattooing was itself a test of warrior toughness. Infection was a real danger. Puncturing skin repeatedly creates opportunities for bacteria to enter. However, traditional healing knowledge helped prevent serious complications. Tattoo artists knew which plants had antibacterial properties, which helped heal wounds, which reduced inflammation. They would apply these traditional medicines to fresh tattoos, and warriors would follow specific care instructions while healing. Wealthy or high-status warriors could afford the finest tattoo artists, who would create incredibly detailed work. We're not talking about crude scratches here. The best pintado tattoos were sophisticated art. Complex geometric patterns with perfect symmetry. Realistic animal depictions showing remarkable detail. Abstract designs with deep symbolic meaning. The level of artistry rivaled any tattoo tradition in the world. The patterns and designs weren't random or purely aesthetic. They carried specific meanings that everyone in the culture understood. Geometric patterns were extremely common, intricate combinations of lines, triangles, diamonds, and curves, creating complex overall designs. These often represented specific concepts like strength, protection, or connection to ancestors. The precision of geometric work also demonstrated the tattoo artist's skill. Animal designs represented the qualities of those animals. A warrior might choose a crocodile design to represent ferocity and power. Bird designs could represent freedom and the ability to strike from above. Snake patterns might represent cunning and the ability to strike suddenly. The specific animal you chose reflected the warrior qualities you embodied or aspired to. Some designs were clan or family symbols, connecting you to your lineage. These hereditary patterns marked you as belonging to a specific warrior family with its own proud history. When other warriors saw these symbols, they immediately knew your family background and could judge you partly based on your ancestors' reputations. Battle-specific tattoos might depict the enemy you'd defeated or the location where you'd proven your courage. A warrior who had defeated a particularly dangerous opponent might incorporate symbols representing that victory. Someone who had led a successful raid on a specific island might include designs marking that achievement. Spiritual protection symbols were also common. Many warriors believed certain patterns provided supernatural protection in battle, deflecting weapons, bringing good fortune, ensuring you'd return home alive. Whether these literally worked or not, the psychological confidence they provided was real and valuable. The placement of tattoos also carried meaning. Chest tattoos were often among the first earned and most important, placed over your heart, representing your courage and warrior spirit. Arm tattoos might represent strength and fighting skill. Leg tattoos could represent endurance and the ability to pursue enemies or escape danger. Back tattoos often came later, representing accumulated experience and wisdom. Face tattoos were the most prestigious and dangerous to earn. Not every warrior had face tattoos. They marked the absolute elite, those who had achieved extraordinary things. A face tattoo meant you were willing to be identified as a warrior permanently and publicly. There was no hiding a face tattoo, no backing away from your warrior identity. Women could also receive tattoos, though with different meanings and designs. Female tattoos often represented beauty, fertility, status within the community, or spiritual power rather than combat achievements. But the principle was similar. You earned the right to be tattooed by demonstrating value to the community. Whether through warrior prowess, spiritual leadership, exceptional craftsmanship, or other contributions. Now let me ask you, comment below. Do you have tattoos with personal meaning? How do you think modern tattoos compare to these earned warrior markings where each one had to be proven through courage and achievement? Pintado tattoos served multiple psychological and social functions that went far beyond simple decoration or personal expression. First, and most obviously, intimidation. Imagine you're about to fight someone. You draw your weapon and face your opponent. Their entire body is covered in tattoos, marking dozens or hundreds of previous combat encounters. Before the fight even begins, you know this person is extremely dangerous. You know they've survived countless battles that killed other warriors. That knowledge affects your confidence, your aggression, your willingness to engage. Second, tattoos created powerful social motivation for young warriors. If you wanted respect, if you wanted status, if you wanted to be attractive to potential partners, if you wanted to be chosen for important raids, you needed to earn your tattoos. This drove young men to prove themselves in combat, to take risks, to demonstrate courage. The tattoo system strengthened the entire warrior culture by creating clear incentives for brave behavior. Third, tattoos were permanent accountability. You couldn't fake your achievements because everyone could see your tattoo record. If you claimed to be a great warrior but had few tattoos, people knew you were exaggerating or lying. Conversely, if you were heavily tattooed, your reputation was secure and visible. Fourth, tattoos made social assessment efficient. Leaders choosing warriors for a dangerous raid could immediately identify the most experienced fighters. Just look at who has the most extensive tattoos. Women choosing partners could evaluate a man's courage and accomplishments at a glance. Visiting warriors from other communities could assess each other's status instantly without lengthy verbal exchanges. This visual communication was incredibly efficient in a society where proving your reputation might otherwise require lengthy storytelling or third-party verification. Your body was your resume, always visible, always current. Fifth, tattoos created cohesion within the warrior class. Tattooed warriors shared common experiences. They'd all proven courage, all endured the pain of tattooing, all lived by the warrior code. The tattoos marked membership in an exclusive brotherhood bound by shared values and experiences. Creating these elaborate tattoos required specialized knowledge and skill. Tattoo artists, often called mambabatok, held important, respected positions in the community. Tattoo artists were often connected to spiritual traditions. The babaylans, spiritual leaders we discussed in episode 13, sometimes performed tattooing, combining the physical process with spiritual rituals. The act of tattooing could be sacred, not just artistic. Prayers might be said, offerings made to spirits, blessings invoked for the warrior's protection. The best tattoo artists were highly sought after and well compensated. A warrior who had earned the right to a new tattoo might pay in gold, in fine weapons, in valuable trade goods, or in service. The most elaborate tattoos from the most skilled artists were expensive, which added another layer of status. Not only had you earned the tattoo through courage, you could also afford the finest work. The relationship between warrior and tattoo artist could last a lifetime. As a warrior earned new achievements, they'd return to the same artist who knew their body, their history, their developing tattoo narrative. The artist would design new pieces that complemented existing work, creating a coherent overall composition that told the warrior's complete story. When the Spanish encountered the Pintados in 1521, they didn't know what to make of them. European culture had no equivalent tradition of extensive ritual tattooing tied to warrior achievements. Early Spanish accounts are fascinating in their mix of admiration and horror. Some chroniclers wrote admiringly about the artistry and dedication the tattoos represented. They recognized the courage required both to earn tattoos and to endure the painful application process. These observers saw the Pintados as fierce but honorable warriors. Other Spanish writers condemned tattooing as savage, barbaric, or demonic. They tried to associate the practice with devil worship or paganism, framing it as something that needed to be eradicated for the Filipino spiritual salvation. This became the official Catholic Church position. Spanish missionaries worked actively to end tattooing traditions. They preached that tattooing was sinful, incompatible with Christianity. They sometimes refused baptism or other sacraments to heavily tattooed individuals. They taught that the unmarked body was pure and that tattooing defiled God's creation. In areas under strong Spanish control, particularly in larger towns where colonial authority was strongest and missionary presence was constant, they had success. Young Filipinos growing up in these colonial environments often didn't learn traditional tattooing practices. They were taught Spanish and Christian values that condemned their ancestors' traditions. But in regions where Spanish control was weak or non-existent, particularly in the mountainous interior, remote islands, and the southern sultanates that successfully resisted Spanish conquest, tattooing traditions continued. Warriors kept earning their ink, maintaining traditions despite colonial pressure. The irony is that Spanish soldiers often feared tattooed warriors specifically because they recognized what the tattoos meant. Whatever missionaries might say about savagery, soldiers understood that a heavily tattooed opponent was extremely dangerous and experienced. The very thing priests condemned was what soldiers learned to respect through hard combat experience. Over generations of colonization, tattooing traditions gradually declined in most of the Philippines. Christianity spread, and with it came European attitudes about the body. By the 1800s, extensive warrior tattooing had largely disappeared from colonized areas. In episode 12, we're exploring something that will surprise many people: women in ancient Philippines. Property rights, divorce, female leaders, and a society that gave women far more power and autonomy than medieval Europe or many other ancient civilizations. This is going to challenge assumptions about traditional gender roles. You absolutely don't want to miss this one. I'm your host, Amit. This is Mythos Amit Raj. And remember, Pintado tattoos weren't just body art. They were history, identity, achievement, and honor, written permanently on skin. If this exploration of warrior tattoos fascinated you, hit that like button. Subscribe to Mythos Amit Raj. We've got 19 more episodes exploring ancient Philippines, and every single one reveals something remarkable about this forgotten civilization. Turn on notifications so you catch episode 12. Drop a comment. We asked about personal tattoos and their meanings. Share your stories. And what do you think about the idea of having to earn each tattoo through actual achievements? Could that system work in modern society? Share this video with anyone interested in tattoo culture, warrior traditions, Filipino heritage, or body art history. This is a fascinating piece of cultural history that deserves to be remembered and understood. See you for episode 12, Women in Ancient Philippines. Keep exploring, keep learning, and never forget that sometimes the most important histories are written not in books, but on the bodies of those who lived them.